Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm sharing a challenge across different card which I did with Julia, my friend. We were inspired by Marine Simone, who made like the cutest cards with all those mice from Lawn Fawn. So we decided to do a challenge family mice ... so we can fill it in ourselves. So I stamped all my images on Nina using my Gina K Design amalgam ink, and then I'm going to color them in using my Copic markers. So to continue about the challenge, we had to fill the rest of the title ourselves. So in my case, the name of this card is Family Mice and the Story of the Magical Jelly Bean Jar. And I can tell you what is happening, but I will do that later on when I am assembling the card, because truly the whole thought process was like in my head. I wanted to add as much mice as possible, as much jelly bean as possible. So truly I went out for this card. And then of course I realized that I had to make a slimline card to create some more space for myself, to be able to fit all the mice, all the jelly beans. But yeah, just for the ones who are new to my channel, I list all my supplies down below in the description box, and because this is a challenge a crafty friend, I'm also listing the card of Julia down below. She also has a YouTube channel, so I will list her YouTube channel as well. And yeah, so here I'm coloring Copic markers. You can color your images in different ways using these markers. You can start with your lightest, go in with your darkest. If you have a mid-tone, go to your mid-tone, then back to the lightest. But you can also start with the darkest, to the mid-tone, to the lightest. It's just really your preference and what feels right. Sometimes there are some markers that you will find difficult to blend with. Then I would recommend first starting with the lightest color, but truly you can choose whatever you want to do. For the rest of the coloring, I will be putting on some music, and after the coloring is done, I will be back. With the images colored in, I am taking the matching dies of all these stamp sets and I'm going to die cut all the images. Next up, I have die cut my rectangular panel that is there for my slimline card. I also die cut a hillside, and now I will do some blending. So first of all, I checked where that hill in my die cut piece was so that I could tape my stencils down. And now I'm going to do some ink blending using my distress inks for this and a blending brush. I really like the vibrance of distress inks and that's why I am using those. If you have trouble with blending, the distress oxide inks are truly wonderful. Also, if you're learning to blend, it can really help you, but they have a more chalky finish, so if you prefer brighter colors, I really would suggest using distress inks. So for the sky, I'm using tumbled gloss, and then I will also ink blend some grass on the bottom, and my hillside I will also be ink blending on. For the grass and for the hill, I'm using peeled paint and crushed olives. So the advantage of the stencils that Lawn Fawn has created is that you can perfectly match the shape of the stencil on the other side of the stencil so that you won't need to mask off any of, in this case, the clouds, and you will still have that wonderful transition between the grass and the sky, just because it's exactly the same shape but then the negative on the bottom as on the top. So here I actually had a little boo-boo, but later on there will be a mouse in front of it, so I was freaking out in the beginning, but then I thought, okay, that's fine, no worries. And then I also saw a little issue at the top corner, and I forgot that this is Nina where I blended on, so Nina isn't really that great with water, but if I would have used Strathmore Bristol Smooth, for example, I could have just lifted it up with water. In this case, I sort of ruined my panel, but later on I will be covering that as well, so no worries, nothing bad happened. So now I'm laying down my elements on top of this panel, and now I can also tell you what is going on and where my lovely title is coming from. So the mice family was walking around outside and all of a sudden they found a jelly bean jar. So they were all a bit hungry, of course. If you see candy, you are hungry. So they decide to work together and try to get all those jelly beans out of the jar, and they give it to everyone, and some of them are already eating, others are still helping to get them out. And as you can see, that one mouse at the right, he's like leaning against the jar to tilt it a bit. And then there is also one mouse inside of the jar, and I will later fiddle it in between the jelly beans more, but he actually climbed into the jar and is now giving all the jelly beans to the one outside. And this way they are truly blessed with all the jelly beans that they can eat, and there are still more to come. So you can ask yourself why magical, and I asked myself the same thing, and then the simple answer was, yeah, you don't expect a jelly bean jar to be like outside when you're walking, so it's really magical. Yeah, so that's the reason. Now on to my surgery of my stamp. No, not from a stamp, the image. So here I have my jelly beans in my jar, and I decided to cut a slit using my craft knife. And I may have told you this before or not, but I'm so bad with a craft knife. I just really, I would say hate, but maybe that's too harsh, but otherwise I would say that I really hate using craft knives, especially to cut some detailed images or anything like that. Not to lift up any backings, that's really handy, but to cut things, I am just not comfortable with them. So here I am cutting alongside the black of the jelly beans, and I try to get it wide enough to fit my little mouse inside of it. And that took me a while. I'm speeding this up, but it took me a while. And then I also decided to add a bit of black marker onto the edges where I cut it, so that there wouldn't be any white peeking through. For that I used my darkest Copic that I have, I think. And then what's really important when you're doing that is that if you come in with your marker from the back side, so from behind, then if you accidentally slip or anything, then it's not in the front, it's not on your image that you colored in, it's just in the back, and that's not an issue or a problem, I think. So that's a tip that I saw on YouTube. I don't know from who, but probably you all are already doing that, but I can only say it in case. So that's what I am making, and now, so I am now going to fiddle with my marker. Now that's done, I am going to adhere everything onto my card panel. With everything adhered, I decided to add some clouds to cover up my mistake, and I already placed everything down. I am just going to glue them down with some liquid glue. There is enough going on the bottom. Now onto the sentiment. I first have to cut off the excess so that I can place it against the edge of my stamping tool. And then I'm just stamping this sentiment using some Gina K Design amalgam ink, the same as the critters. I am adhering this panel on top of my card base, and then the only thing left to do is to add some glossy accents. And yes, I am going to add some glossy accents on each and every jelly bean on this card. So it was a bit fiddling with the little mouse inside of the jar and the one in front of it, and I contemplated whether I should have done it before or not. But in the end, I am happy that I did it afterwards, because otherwise there would be a lot of fiddling as well. It's just what you prefer, I think, also, but I cannot wait until the glossy accent dried before I started tearing it, so that would be really messy and it would be ruined, so this was my best option. I also had to take a new glossy accent because my old one finally was empty. And after adding these glossy accents, my card is finished. So I really hope that you enjoyed watching this video and that the card design is one you like as well. I also hope that you enjoyed the storytelling, some sort of storytelling, because it's a bit out of my comfort zone, but it's also funny to do. So if you have any questions, you can always leave them down below. If you like this video, you can give it a thumbs up. I would truly appreciate it, and I'm hoping to see you back next time. Bye!